Are you not sure where to start with assets? Or have you tried to learn and keep getting stuck? Well, never fear. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly what assets are, what the 5 most important types of assets are in business, and how you can use them to impress your boss and move up the corporate ladder as quickly as possible. Let's dive right in. Assets are the stuff that a business owns and controls, which will probably give the business financial benefits in the future. The reason your boss cares so much about assets is because they are the most important things in business. Assets are like the skeleton of the business that the rest of the business is supported by. Because assets are all the things that give the business financial benefits in the future, if your business were to lose all its assets overnight, it would die a pretty horrible death almost immediately. So assets are very important to understand. Let's go through the top 5 types of asset so you can impress your boss and start unlocking your career right now. First up, cash. Cash is by far the most important asset in business. If a business runs out of cash, it's pretty much instant death. In fact, the only real deadly mistake a business can make is to run out of cash. Cash is so important that one of the big 3 financial statements is devoted entirely to showing precisely how much cash is flowing into and out of a business. So if you want to sound great to your boss, try to mention the cash effects of situations you find yourself in. For example, if a customer is paying late, what will the cash effect be? Probably less cash in the bank. What could you suggest to help? Would the customer accept shorter payment terms? Or could you start sending the invoices in advance rather than after the work is done? Do you need to get rid of the customer if they're always paying late? You don't need to do anything drastic, but even just showing that you are thinking about the cash effects of decisions is a great way to set yourself apart from everyone else on your team. Accounts receivable. Accounts receivable is just a fancy way of saying invoices or bills that you've sent to customers. A lot of businesses, like supermarkets, don't actually have accounts receivable. Their customers just pay straight away instead of the supermarket needing to send out an invoice and waiting to be paid. A lot of businesses do have huge amounts of accounts receivable though, such as construction companies or project-based companies such as agencies and consultancies. So, if you're working in one of these types of businesses, your boss will be super interested in the accounts receivable asset. Having an idea of how many invoices have been sent out, how many are due to be paid and when, and whether a customer is likely to actually pay or not, will help you stand out in your team. Property, plant and equipment. Property, plant and equipment is just a fancy accounting term for the bulky stuff that the business uses to make money. If you're working for a service business like an agency or consultancy, then property, plant and equipment will probably just be a few laptops and maybe a company car. The big bosses won't care too much about it. But if you're in a manufacturing company, the whole business strategy will revolve around buying, installing and monitoring all these machines and factories that make the goods to sell. In that case, having even just a basic sense of what property, plant and equipment your business is using to run its operations will make you instantly seem like some kind of senior managing director compared to the rest of your teammates. Prepayments. Prepayments are expenses that have been paid but relate to the future. For example, your business might pay for a hotel for the office Christmas party in November. Since this will be a benefit in December, in the future, it will be an asset in November. Another example could be a 12-month license for an accounting software. You'll need to pay for the 12 months now, but you'll get the benefit of that payment in the future, so it will be an asset. This may sound all a bit tricky and weird, but don't be fooled into thinking that prepayments are just some niche finance thing that no one cares about. Prepayments are actually so common that almost every business in the world has some form of prepayments on their balance sheets at any moment. Your boss will care massively about prepayments because they show what benefits the business is expecting in the future from stuff it's already paid for. Accrued income. Accrued income is income that the business has already earned but for which it hasn't yet sent out an invoice to the customer. For example, if you and your team have worked 10 days for a customer at a rate of $1,000 per day, then, if your business hasn't sent out the invoice for that work yet, it will have $10,000 of income accrued. Accrued sounds like a strange word, but it just means that the business has made a manual adjustment in their accounts to show this income, rather than raising an invoice to show the income. If your boss had sent out the invoice for the $10,000 of work, then there wouldn't need to be an adjustment because the business would already have that asset of accounts receivable. But your boss didn't raise the invoice, so the business needs to make a manual adjustment called an accrual of income. to show that even though no invoice has been sent out, the work has still been done, and that the ability to be paid for that work in the future still exists. That ability to be paid in the future is the asset accrued income. Accrued income is a tricky asset, but why will your boss care so much about it? Your boss will care about accrued income because it is one of the riskiest assets in all of business. Think about it, your team has done the work, but you haven't sent out an invoice yet. Why haven't you sent out this invoice? Did the client not approve the work? Was the work not good enough? Does the customer know the work has been done at all? Having work in the bag, but not yet in the bank, is a very risky situation. Your boss will be very keen to get this work invoiced and paid for as quickly as possible. Being aware of this extra step will help set you apart from everyone else on your team who will just assume that once their work is done, that's money in the bank for the company and your boss doesn't have to worry about it anymore. Believe me, your boss will be worrying about this. So, those are the top 5 types of assets to know about that will set you apart from your team and unlock your career. If you want loads more accounting secrets to help you get ahead of your team before they get ahead of you, check out the complete course in the description. Thank you.